Not bad.
Yo, we are back and we are live. It's episode 57 of Comic Conversation. After a little bit of a hiatus, we're here for you, the people. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A little bit kind of juggling a lot of screens right now, so forgive me for stopping and starting with my thoughts there. Check out the description here of the on the video. It's got the list of all of our topics for tonight. We got a lot of great stuff to cover. A couple of things to catch up on from last week. Some things that we felt were really important that we didn't want to skip over. We did skip last week. My fault because Hurricane Irma had to go through that. Everything's good now. Power came back after most of a week. A lot of issues there. So we're back on schedule. So kicking this off, episode 57. Yeah. So one thing, as you can see on the screen here, this came out, I believe today. Finally get a good look, another good look at Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. And this time you get to see her actually with her helmet on. So that's cool. The last one that we saw was her, I think it was like in a classroom, but it was, just the suit, but not her helmet. So this time you get to kind of see her helmet. And I like it. I like how it looks. The last missing piece really for the look would be the wings, right? So there you go. There's another look at her. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. To me, okay. The helmet looks very much like the new Wasp, like the Unstoppable Wasp. Like the helmet, just because, especially that first picture of the side view, because it goes up to kind of a point or something, and even on the front here you can kind of see it. Yeah, but that so reminds me of the cover to that.
You know what the side view of the helmet reminds me of? Zoom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. The ears
a little bit like dark, and then you got like the ears on it and stuff.
I'm just wondering. I think the colors here are very muted. I don't think it's going to look like that on the screen. So I'm curious to see exactly what the colors we're going to see in the theater.
It needs some more like yellow or like
Well, that's what I was going to say. That this looks really cool, but once we get all the CGI and all that stuff, it's going to probably look 10 times better.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, that's as we all know, like a lot of times the translation from comics to, and I'm using air quotes here, real life doesn't work. So what they do is try to give it a bit more of a realistic portrayal, and the kind of fallback there, and you can see it as it's been with the X-Men, is to just go really dark with their suits or with their costumes. So that kind of feels like what this is, but I'm hoping like what you guys are saying, CGI and post-production will punch up the color here a bit. Mm-hmm. But I don't see any motion capture on her. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't either. But she's got something on her back, or I mean, who knows? At this point, they may just be able to add it in,
True. Technology has come so far on the CGI side of things.
Click to add wings, or she's doing everything on a green screen set, where of course at that point they can just add anything anywhere,
True, yeah.
Add all that in and then put her where she needs to be.
No, I mean I like it. I like the design with the like faux cutouts almost. It gives it like depth and stuff. It's not just like straight up black costume,
Right.
So
that's what I'm hoping is all the cutouts are going to change the color once it's on the screen.
Yeah, I saw somebody did like a fan kind of thing in Photoshop. And they added in a bunch of yellow, like on the obliques area, on her shoulders, I think like on her legs, instead of it being like that dark blue color. I think on the outside of the thighs as well. They overlaid like some yellow color on it, and it looked really good. So it would definitely work if they choose to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for it. The first Ant-Man was way better than it should have been. So the second one should be equally as fun. We'll go with fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they're going to go back to like the super microverse, We'll get to check some of that stuff out.
They have to. Yeah, like with the quantum realm, they call it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah. They're definitely going to touch on that. I think that's going to play a bigger role in, even into phase 4, with more magical and cosmic realms kind of all tying in. I think a lot of that's going to be kind of the quantum realm will be the glue that ties some of that together, unlike the science explanation level of it.
Yeah. Comically Flawed said, either way, she's gorgeous.
There you go. Can't argue with that. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to show that really quick because I found those today. Very new, just kind of like on set, kind of like the Brie Larson news where she was seen on set, for Avengers. I think it was Avengers. So like she's in the movie, right? She's on set. I didn't find a picture of that, but that's how fast the news breaks there and how kind of fluid it is, and you have to like look at a bunch of different things to pick up on some of the news trends. Like that's kind of like news before it's news, like the set photos almost. So I just wanted to show that really quick. But let's jump back into our kind of normal format where we just do a little bit of updating first. Like everybody knows who we are. I hate to call it an intro. Like we used to say, hey, let's do some intros. Right? But people know who we are. So we just do updates. So what have you guys been up to in the past? It's been 2 weeks. So like if you want to share yourselves or just like your comic collecting updates, but feel free to take it away.
Well, just reading a lot of comics. I've been trying to reorganize my collection like crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? There's so many runs that like start randomly and end random places. It's weird. But I've come across more doubles than any one person should have ever purchased. And this is a lesson for everybody. Make sure you know what books you have before you go out and you buy like 10 of a certain lot, and like 4 of those are doubles now. So it happens. You just hope you get a good deal. But and you can always swap out at that point for the best looking book. But
yeah, you know what? Like if the price is right and there's a couple in there that you want, it's definitely worth it. And then those doubles, you can go ahead and maybe sell and kind of recoup some of that. And a lot of times, depending on how big the lot is, you end up coming out with the books you actually wanted for what would have been free because you got all your costs back. So
yeah, no. It's like, but my most recent example of that is the first appearance of Blink, which is like Uncanny X-Men 317, right? So I was like, man, I would like to get that book. So then I bought a copy, and then another copy came available. It was cheap. I'm organizing my Uncanny X-Men. I already had one. So I got 3 now. So it's one of those kind of fun things.
Do you use any type of database online? There's a couple of really good ones out there, free ones, and then like NES just said, and I'll get some shout outs in a second, but he said that you should get the CLZ app for your phone. Yeah.
I kind of use Comic Book Database, but not as well as I should.
That's what I do. It's free. It has all the features. I mean, you can create wish lists. You can search by anything, creator, story arc, title, certain whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it.
Oh yeah.
So I like it. So then real quick, for a free service out of 10, what do you give it?
Comic Book Database?
Yeah.
I mean, I have I haven't run into any issues with it. I like it. It's just you just got to.
I just asked because I most of the ones that I've come across you've had to pay for. So
yeah.
No, this one's free. I think there is some type of limit on Comic Book Database, like the number of books you can have in your collection. But I'm not near that apparently. So.
I was gonna say I have a ways to go before I reach any type of limit.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good because it does list all, variant covers and things like that, so you can, drill down and say, instead of just saying, I got Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 or Volume 17, cover 12, it's like it's going to be there,
Exactly right. It's a great place. I use it a lot as well for searching for like first appearances. A lot of like really like minor or like really esoteric characters that a lot of other places don't list. People are very thorough when they enter these things on Comic Book DB. So you can find pretty much any character's first appearance, however major or minor they are. So that's something really cool I like about it is it's a great place to like research stuff. not only like catalog your own collection, but if you like dig in there and search all these things, like search like, you know, you say you want to look up Adam Hughes and see all his work, it's going to give you like a massive breakdown of all of not only just his work, but it's going to tell you his pencil work, his cover art, his interior work, if he did inking, if he was ever an editor. Like it really like breaks it down for you. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, I use database to look up people, artists and stuff like that, but not really to.
I'll tell you,
put in.
When you're at the shop and you're digging through and you're like, shit, do I have this book? Or like, you know, what cover A, cover B, like it's come in handy so many times. I'll tell you.
So that's the other lesson, kids. Get one of those apps and actually input your books into it.
Yeah.
now, I mean, some of the apps make it way easier. Like, I guess isn't it CLZ that everybody's been talking about? You can get the barcode scanner with that one.
Yep.
If you get it on your phone.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you got to pay for it, but that's super convenient, you know, for us lazier people.
Exactly right. Comically Flawed said also Comic Book Realm.
Yes.
That's where Keep says, yeah.
That is a good one that I don't use nearly enough.
Yeah, so there's definitely some good apps out there, and we highly recommend using one of those for organization, especially when you're not with your collection and you need to kind of reference back to what you have. Gotta do it. Yeah.
Yep.
I will say, though, that my reliance on my online database has made my physical organization a mess because I'm like, oh, I can just look it up there. I know it's somewhere, but it's in one of those boxes.
No, the downfall of my organization is short boxes. When I just had long boxes, everything was organized. Once I switched to short boxes, it became chaos.
I'm telling you, man, I'm bound to switch to that filing cabinet.
Yeah,
it's a great idea. Yeah, I like the look of it. You know?
Yeah.
You go right over there. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Need a few.
All right, Craigslist, here we come. We're gonna find one, baby.
All right, Edwin, how have you been?
Good. Getting ready for affordable auction number 7.
Yeah.
This Sunday, and I'm trying to up it up with the bigger books gradually, because I just don't like the whole idea of people buying. People, you know, not everybody gets something, and when people do get something on my auction, it's like you have to add $4 or $6 shipping to the 1 or 2 or 3 books that you got, and so I'm just trying to up the bigger books, and I'll have pictures posted actually Friday and Saturday, instead of bombarding Instagram on Sunday. And I'm switching it up a little bit, which, Justin, you need to get at me after the show so we can talk a little bit, because I got to throw something at you that I meant to throw at you earlier, but we didn't have last week's show, so it's all good.
Word.
Huh?
Word.
Big E said CLZ is $14.99. If anyone's considering that, there you go. Apparently, it's a one-time purchase, so it's not like a monthly or annual fee.
So for less than the price of 4 Marvel books.
Yeah.
A month or one time, you said?
Just one time.
Oh,
yeah, that's not bad.
That's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Who is this Lords of the Long Box? Monkey effers. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris?
What's going on?
What's up, Buckshot?
Buckshot.
How you been?
You made it.
I'm good. I'm eating a cookie.
Hey.
All right, cool. Yeah, let me give a couple of shout outs here because we got a bunch of people in the chat. First person was me, I guess. Blackpool is here, or was here. He's been. He's
won the Marvel New Prize.
Yeah, I was talking with him a little bit, like in the half hour before the show came on, about Valiant. There's some really great stuff coming out for that in the future, like Ninja K. There's a really great book that I'm looking forward to, Eternity. Ninja K is a story arc, I believe.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah. You know,
Ninja K gonna fight Ninja?
there's a bunch of stuff there, so we'll get into that at some point with the Valiant universe. But yeah, he's definitely a big Valiant fan, and I like what they got going on over there as well, building out pretty greatly with their universe. So like I said, future talk. Comically Flawed is here. Sorry about waiting the Lords of the Long Box contest, man. I just like second before you typed it, I got it. And by the way, Tim is here, Lords of the Long Box. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So major shout out to him and his channel, but also KRS Comics. If you guys aren't familiar with them, KRScomics.com. They have a lot of really great stuff over there for sale. A lot of amazing covers by, Tyler Kirkham, Tally Sanders, a bunch of people that are like rising hot superstar artists that he's able to get for these covers. Really cool social media presence as well. If you guys are on Instagram, look up KRS Comics, follow them. Got a lot of great stuff going on. And one of the really cool things was during like San Diego Comic-Con, for example, it's posting up all this stuff like all throughout. So you got like a good feel of like the booth and things like that. For us folks who weren't fortunate enough to be there, it was a good way to kind of like get that feel of almost not really of being there, but that perspective of being like not only there but like at a booth there. So it was really cool. So just an example of like that social media reach that they do. So it's KRS Comics and KRScomics.com. Check them out. Okay, so we have Jason Smith, NES Master is here as well. So shout out to you guys. Also Philly Superman is here. Jay, Gotta love Mr. We're talking about databases. There's a database right there. That's a human walking database of comic book information. Hands down. Anything you want to know, Philly Superman is your guy. Or yeah, he knows his stuff. Gomez is here as well. Gomez Comic Collector. Glad to have you with us. Jackio as well. Glad to have you here. He's one of our regulars. He's been with us for a long time. So happy he decided to continue to join us after our short little break there. Uncanny Kyle Walker is here as well as Iron Galactus. So we're glad to have you guys. I'm just going right down the list. Lord Tapman is here as well. Dead Pulika is here, another Instagram guy. Always, yeah, I think the two of us see eye to eye there on a lot of different things. So I'm glad to have him here as well. Biggie's Comics is here as well. Thanks, guys, for being here, by the way. I know Gotham is on right now, so DVR that and watch this.
I did think it was funny, though, that I got the alert that season 3 was available on Netflix today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like good timing. They made last season available the day the new one comes out. That's messed up.
Nice. All right, cool. So I think I got everybody. If I missed you, leave a comment and I'll say it. I'll say your name. All right, so let's get into oh wait, Chris, did you want to, you said hi, but did you want to say what you've been doing for the past week or two, or you want to keep it a mystery? Because we can do that too. That's cool.
Just working and stuff like that. I'm actually really behind on
Did you freeze?
He's looking down.
I do a video which will end up being probably tomorrow and Saturday is going to be a bunch of probably like end up doing like 2 or 3 videos in the next couple of days, try to catch back up and show everybody what I've been up to and everything like that. But just work and everything been getting in the way. So unfortunately life kind of just kicked in, and then but now I'm gonna go ahead and get back to it. So
cool.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right, glad to have you here. Glad we got the crew back on the show here. So yeah, I don't know. I don't got much updates. I ended up picking up like a couple weeks worth of books yesterday, actually, or actually over the past couple of days. So I got a lot of reading, a lot of catching up to do in terms of like new books that I'm reading, new runs. I did read The Realm, which was really good. I ended up catching up on like the metal stuff, so that's good. Haven't read Dark Arc yet. I've been saying that I want to do like a review for it. But I haven't done that yet. Catching up on that. So that should come in the near future. There was something else I was gonna talk about as well, but I forgot what it is. But it'll come to me. So
We'll
let's
just
get
wing
into yeah. Let's just wing it.
Screw this crap. Just wing it.
Yeah, just say whatever. Okay, but actually, the first thing we're going to talk about, just to kind of acknowledge this, is Len Wein's passing. I know that it's been a couple weeks, and a lot of it's been a couple weeks really, but we haven't been able to talk about it here on the show. So definitely a huge loss. Really sad to have had that happen and to learn about it. He made a huge contribution to the comic book community, from Wolverine, being the co-creator, editing with Watchmen, a lot of stuff there. I could go on and on with his list of accomplishments, his awards, but definitely very oh, come on, you're distracting me, man. Definitely very sad to have heard that. And I know he was battling some health issues for a long time. And actually, one of the things that I was reading, I thought this was really cool, and something that I think that happens a lot, but we don't always hear about it, is that it does feel like it was a long time ago, but we haven't talked about it here. But his health issues and his personal life kind of inform the characters that he created, right? So Wolverine's regeneration ability was his desire to be able to fix his issues and things. There's a lot of examples like that from his work. But I think that's really cool, and I like that kind of that psychological aspect of it, that that kind of behind the character story. I find that kind of stuff fascinating. I actually went to school for some psychology stuff, but that's for another video. Anyways, let's go ahead and share what you want for that, because I'm just rambling now. But
well, what kind of health issues was he dealing with? Because I'm not too familiar with that.
I believe it was it was heart issues was what it was.
Because every time I seen him at a couple cons here in Houston, and I mean, he always seemed to be upbeat and pretty talkative and active and stuff like that. That I never got the impression, But like I said, I wasn't very familiar with him. But he always looked real good to me.
Yeah, he had I think it was a double or triple bypass heart surgery, 10 or so years ago. So I don't know when you saw him, but I know it was
a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah, I know that was a pretty huge issue for him. I'm kind of doing a quick what I'm actually doing is looking at comicbook.com.
And that's crazy, man, because how long has it been since Herb Trimpe passed? It's been about a year, a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
More than that, right? Herb died I think 3 years ago.
Yeah, but his friend.
Ago, was it?
Yeah, it was right when the death of Wolverine story happened.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man. Both creators of Wolverine passed.
But what about Bernie Wrightson also? He passed, I think, in March or April of this year. So they worked together for quite a bit. They were they created Swamp Thing together, right?
Yep.
So
all right. So it's time for Marvel to give us back the real Wolverine. It's like a tribute or something. Come on.
Yeah, something.
That stinks.
Well, we still have yet for them to publish. They usually, at least one comic book, they'll acknowledge his passing, right? It's just so new and fresh that they haven't had time to publish it in anything yet.
Yeah. So his wife said heart problems. She didn't say specifically what it was. But yeah, heart problems was what she was quoted as Christine. But he won a lot of awards too. He won Inkpot Award, Bram Stoker Award, 2 Shazam Awards. He was inducted into the Eisner Hall of Fame just under 10 years ago. It was back in 2008. So that speaks to his accomplishments and the great stories and work that he put out. So
and this reminds me, man, don't take these guys' signatures for granted. Because I had Herb Trimpe here in Houston, and I just completely I get him another time. Just didn't really think much of it, man. And I think that I don't know how many people are big on signatures and whatnot, but If you got an opportunity to get these guys to sign your books or your favorite books, man, get them to sign it, because this is just a clear example of you never know when you're going to breathe your last breath.
It's true. And, Tim kind of said something along those lines as well. It's kind of that whole generation of creators is aging, right? They may have, failing health that we may see publicly or not, but they are aging, and that's a fact. Stan Lee, for example, he looks pretty damn healthy, but he's almost mid-90s now, so you know
he's taking some souped up drugs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a life model decoy at this point,
right?
Stan passed in 19.
He reminds me like Mr. Burns, how he has his head decapitated, living in a jar of water.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of people that are starting to kind of age is catching up with them. Like George Perez recently had a heart attack. He's doing better, but his con and sketching schedule is like very, very light now. And then I'm trying to think who else was it Darwin Cook died recently.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say there's a few different people that we've kind of had just kind of seen just kind of go not just have lighter schedules because of the fact that like you said they're aging and a lot of them are old now. I heard John Byrne has a couple of issues that are nagging. Frank Miller for a while is he's well documented, but he's on I guess it's kind of a shaky health watch as well.
Rich Buckler. Sorry. Yeah. That name just came to me. Rich Buckler.
There's a bunch of them. Because you got to look at it like how, these guys are in their 60s and up. It's just like they're older guys now. It's just like and I think it's one of those things where when you see pictures and profiles and stuff like that of them, they still use the ones that they had in like the 80s and 90s, where it's just like, oh, you look at them there and there's a bunch of different stuff where you'll see pictures of the image guys, and it's just like but they always love to show the 90s pictures of them when they're young, but it's like Jim Lee's old now. He's in his 50s. Like he's not. I don't want to say he's old, but like he's not. You're not going back to like.
We've already lost a lot of the image guys.
Huh?
We've already lost some of the image guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just like there's a lot of people that are just kind of starting to slow down, just because the fact is, they are older now, and you don't really think about that, but
Here's what they need to do: find out whatever Stanley is taking, research it, and then just pass it around to everybody in the industry.
Yeah,
just take it.
What he's taking is nothing. Trust me. He just has whatever. What you want to have is what Keith Richards has. Whatever Keith Richards has is phenomenal, because that man not only looks dead, but like I'm sure he died like in like 1974, but he's still around.
Like a zombie or something?
Huh?
Was he like a zombie or something?
He could be. I'm telling you right now, he could be patient zero. You never know.
Yeah.
Actually, what's funny is Jake LaMotta, the boxer. If you guys ever seen Raging Bull, he recently died, and he was 95. I was just like, he was old, but like, I guess somebody who gets that age, you gotta you have to just kind of tip your hat to him, like, hey, they made it a long way through and they did well. And that's right, those drugs preserved him very well.
That's right.
Somebody said Steve Ditko is still alive.
Steve Ditko is alive, but he's I guess he's a little bit standoffish, I guess.
Yeah, I heard that.
Ditko, yeah.
To be around a lot of people.
His signatures are pretty elusive. We were talking about signatures. That's a hard one to get.
Yeah, well, I guess, like I said, he's a recluse. Like he doesn't like being around people. He wants nothing to be. You know what I mean? He's I guess really just a hard person to deal with now.
Yeah, it's an ornery old man.
Is that when being a stalker is okay?
If you want to deal with
as long as Steve Ditko is involved, just be a stalker for a little while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess you can write to him though, and he'll write back, and it may be like a nasty message or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, people write back some mean stuff. It's like
stop writing me, you SOB.
Yeah, they're saying it in the comments
Ditko.
now. Yeah, exactly. All right, so definitely a sad loss there with Mr. Len Wein passing. So the next thing we're going to talk about actually was something that I saw today. There's been a lot of over the past, I guess, month or so, like started on YouTube. There was a guy that did a video where he was showing just 1, 2, 3, step how-to type of video of how to crack open a CBCS Slab. And replace the label, replace the book, with whatever you want, and it will look like it was not tampered with, right? So that he said that it was kind of like to show that it was possible, but it was a lot of people are like, well, that's giving people like a step-by-step guide to, defrauding other people. So it's been a little bit of time, with the hurricane. They've had to do some, trial and error, R&D, but they finally came out with a solution. CBCS did actually, and Steve Ricketts posted something on the forum. I believe it was today actually, saying that they appreciate it. One of the great things I like about CBCS is that they really interact with and listen to the customers and kind of like what the concerns are. They keep their ear to the ground. So they were very aware of this issue. So they were testing a bunch of different ideas and different solutions for the slab itself to try to make it, less tamperable, if that's a real word. So what they did was for the logo, like on the actual the paper with the label on it, there's a little logo. It's a hollow foil logo, and it's going to have like a heat seal on it that kind of attaches it to part of the actual slab. So if somebody tries to take it out, it's going to tear, and it's going to look like it was torn off. And if you see that little bit of like tearing on a slab, that means it was pulled off and maybe replaced. But nothing's ever going to be like perfect. And like if somebody really wants to try to like get in there for whatever reason, there's going to be ways to do things, really. But this is a really good step, in my opinion, in the right direction for that. Is that heat sealing on the hollow foil on the logo. So that is something that Steve Ricketts, he's one of the head guys, one of the couple Steves over there at CBCS came out with as an announcement. And that was pretty quickly one of the first things that they came out with after kind of shutting down for Hurricane Irma and stuff, which was another big concern. But they got through that unscathed. Everything's, pretty good in their what they call the vault. None of the books got damaged and everything. They're one of the few places in Tampa right now, I guess, that have power still. I think that they were saying that there, well, not few, but there's a lot of places that still don't have power, but they're running off a generator. They're not at full capacity yet, but they still are operational. They're, processing stuff. They're doing the stuff that can kind of move forward without like a lot of the internet type of stuff that they need, the power for. There's a lot of different things that they can do. So a lot of people are seeing emails about, entering like grading, entering QC, pre-shipping, things like that. So even though they're not at full capacity, they're still doing things like making sure people's books are coming through. They finally got the shipment in from Houston actually for, the actual plastic for the slab.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Good.
We were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And then also, things like this where they're, kind of coming out with some of their R&D solutions for some of the issues that customers have voiced. So with that all being said, what say you?
Well, I was pretty upset that I always forget the guy was he was affiliated with CGC somehow or associated with them. What was he again?
Who?
The guy who exposed the flaw.
Oh, that guy
slabs.
is actually a CGC facilitator.
Facilitator, yeah, that's what it was. Anyways, I was a little upset that he kind of exposed all this, but at the same time, looking back on it, I'm like, okay, maybe it was a good thing because now they're addressing the issue. And maybe the more they address whatever flaws continue to come out, they can further perfect their slabbing process because it really it benefits everybody in the long run when it's all said and done. It benefits those who are sending books to CBCS to get slabbed, and I'm all for it. So I'm not upset about it at all.
Yeah.
So he did these videos, I guess. to be informative and say, you know, oh, like this is a big problem. We got to take care of this. He wasn't doing it to like be malicious or anything like that. I'm asking that because I stepped up to deal with the baby a little bit, but
I don't know. I haven't watched it. I don't know.
Yeah, what he said was it was to inform people that this is something that potentially could happen.
Okay.
But what he didn't do was explain the fact that with the CTC slabs, that it's also possible, you know, because he's a facilitator, it felt very one-sided. And because of that, a lot of people were like, okay, well, this kind of seems like unbalanced reporting, right? It seems more like a smear campaign almost. And that was kind of, whether that's true or not, that was the impression that the video game gave off.
Because he went through a lot just to do what he did. I mean, look, man, when you get a slab, do you really think about that entire process that guy went through? I mean, you have to put forth some work and some effort to do what he did.
Yeah, but if it's something where he's able to basically scam people out and stuff like that, I mean, you got to figure, even having a video like that, where you have people that will be dishonest and that will watch it and be like, hey, look, see, we can just do this and take care of it. I mean, now, yeah, people are hip to it and everything, but I mean, just to even put people onto that process is a bad idea. I think, at least.
Yeah, because you pretty much turned everybody onto it. Because look, I worked in the prison system, and we deal with criminally minded individuals. I'm not a criminally minded individual, and you have to be criminally minded to do stuff like that. Because what do they say that all slab companies are pretty much supported by people who are submitting modern comics, and when I submit a comic or I even look to buy a comic, I'm not looking to rob or deceive somebody in any way by getting a high grade slab and putting some kind of cheap book into it, or the same book just in a lower grade or whatever. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of just out there a little bit, and you pretty much it's like telling people how to steal. Oh, yeah. I just told you how to steal, and I don't know. I just don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, like a lot of people say prison is like university for criminals. Like that's where you go to learn how to do some major crimes.
Man, so I could tell you some stories, bro.
Chris, you're going to say something?
Well, it just seems like, you know, I mean, like I said, I didn't hear all of this story. I heard, you know, enough though that it basically seems like he was saying like, this is how you do it, but don't do it. It's bad. You know, and it's just like that doesn't really, you know, help anybody feel assured of versus like, you know, you never know, especially if you're buying a slab from somebody, you know, it's someone that you don't know, someone that you're not sure of and everything like that. I mean, eBay, you know, Craigslist, things like that come to mind. It's just like, you know, how do you know now? It's just like, you know, I mean, I would have to think that you got to be more careful with how you buy and everything like that, just to make sure that, you know, this type of stuff isn't happening to you. But you know, I mean, I'd be happy to see them, I guess, you know, change things up so that, you know, that method doesn't work anymore. But then I wonder if you'd use a similar method to go ahead and do it again. You know, it's just
one thing that I really like about the CBCS Slabs is they actually, and you have to download an app for it, but they have a QR code thing on the back that you can actually scan, and it will pull up the book, and I believe it pulls up the notes as well. So you can compare what that scan pulls up to the slab and just kind of make sure it's the same book, right? That's on
not only that, but you would have to have, now they CBCS differentiates the newsstand from the direct edition. So you know, whatever if they do decide to slip in something that's different, they have to slip in whether it's a newsstand or a direct edition.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a lot of specifics now, I guess you could say. They're adding to it. Yeah. So yeah. All right, cool. So the moral there, I guess, is step in the right direction for CBCS. They heard the concern and they're moving towards correcting it however they can. So I think that's good.
But one thing I want to add to that, Jesse, is I think this is one thing that we're all at fault of, is buying a book, whether it's from a dealer or a trade from a friend or whatever. A lot of times, man, we don't usually thoroughly check that book until it's too late.
That's true.
You know, a lot of times we just take a person at their word, and then it's like later when we get to the house or whatever that we realize, oh man, this dude sold me some bunk stuff, some whack comic.
Yeah,
So
or
make
you
sure
know,
you check your stuff.
you could even be like, hey, I know Edwin, he's cool. He's not going to screw me over, right? But
Yeah.
we don't know, and I'm just using you as an example, but we don't
Thanks.
know where you or anybody, got the book, what type of research you did on it to verify it, right? So maybe you got screwed over in the past, didn't even realize it, and that's a book you're trying to sell with really good intentions, but it ends up being so. It really doesn't matter. It's not insulting to anybody. If you want to check out the book, you're just doing your due diligence as a consumer, and nobody can kind of fault you for that. And really, in a sale interaction, that's just business, right? Take the personal part out of it.
Absolutely.
And that should be part of it. Do your due diligence. Do your research.
Yep.
So let's move on to the next thing, and that's going to be Deathstroke. For a while, we were talking about Deathstroke here on the show. Actually, there's been rumors: is he in the movie? Is he not in the movie? What's happening with him with Batman? But now they're saying what's happening with him with the DCEU as a whole. So actually, there was a recent interview with Mark Guggenheim. You guys know who he is, right? So he's pretty big in the comic world. But anyways, he was doing, I think it was a podcast, but he was talking about, the CW shows. That's where kind of his thing is right now. And he said, as an answer to what's happening with Deathstroke, like, is he going to be in the movies? Like, are you guys going to be using him on Arrow? Like, what's the deal there? So he said, DC controls the characters, and they went through a period where DC was like, we've got plans for Deathstroke that don't involve Arrow, meaning like we want to use him in the movies, not for the Arrowverse or whatever you want to call it. And then the quote ends with him saying that changed at the end of the year. So, with the rewrites, with new people coming on, and we talked about this a few months back about Deathstroke being written out of the script. Like, they wanted to go for something of a larger scale, right? For Gotham or for the story itself, for the Batman. And we had talked about, even though, what's the guy's name?
The guy who plays Deathstroke?
Yeah.
In the TV show?
Manganiello.
Yeah.
He did like the screen test, right? That was really cool. But despite all that and moving forward, it seems like they're writing him out of the movies for now, but that they want to use him again, of course, on Arrow. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see him. And actually, I think someone just mentioned something. Yeah. So Lords of the Long Box, he confirmed that Deathstroke Origin will be on Arrow this season, right? Yeah. So taking him out of the DCEU and Warner Brothers DC plans for that, for the film side of things, opened him up for being on Arrow this coming season. So what do you think? What do you guys think about that? Would you have preferred to see him in the movies, and he's been on it before? Are you happy with him continuing his appearances on Arrow?
I like him on Arrow. Like, I like that character. I was glad last season he got brought back kind of toward the end there. Yeah, because we haven't seen him in a while. And then even like the previews for this new season, he's in it a lot. So I'm cool with it. I like that character. I like the actor. I remember he was in was he in Spartacus on HBO? I think it was. He was good.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'm good with it. I don't feel that they have a ton of villains or whatever. Yeah. So, they don't have to have them in the movies. And it doesn't really seem like they care. They can use it in both. They're using Flash in both, so whatever.
Yeah. I like him on the show. So, I mean, it's cool that they did this. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think that a freaking Deathstroke, like rated R, like really dark, like almost like Logan type of thing, like noir, like really like violent. Imagine Logan and Dredd, the movie Dredd combined. That's what I imagine for like a Deathstroke movie. Like just in your face, like badass, like assassin type of thing. I think that would be cool. Obviously, they couldn't do something like that on CW to the extent that I'm imagining it, right. But that would be something like way in the future. But I don't know if that would be anything you guys would want to see. But
no, that could be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much of an opinion on Deathstroke. I don't really know a whole lot about him. Isn't he like a B or C list villain?
No.
I mean, I would say that he was, but he's been brought more to the forefront. And I think my favorite version of him is still from the real Teen Titans animated series. Not Teen Titans Go, but Teen Titans.
Let's get that correct right now, right?
They very seldom called him Deathstroke. They called him Slade all the time. So I didn't, I was like, I didn't know if there was something going on where they couldn't call him Deathstroke because they just called him Slade all the time.
Huh.
But no, I like that version. That was like the cold, calculated. But of course, that was older Deathstroke, where he's always been up until like Arrow and the New 52. They de-aged him, He's always been a man who's like, I don't know, in his late 40s or 50s, like an assassin getting on up there,
Yeah.
Philly Superman says a B plus.
Yeah.
I remember Deathstroke like from the 90s. That was his first series, right? The one that caught a lot of steam recently from the 90s, where he's just kind of sitting there with his leg up, with holding the gun and everything. I do remember that, but I don't know. It just never really caught on to me. I mean, he's a cool looking character.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give him that. But what is he? He kind of reminds me a little bit, maybe DC's Punisher, a little bit. Maybe. No.
Yeah.
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 I saw a comment I wanted to read out loud. All right, so Jackie said OG Judas Contract Deathstroke is his favorite era of the character. Absolutely. Great stuff there. Comically flawed, still got Deathstroke on his poll. He's enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
He said Philly A- to B+ as his, ranking there. And then Nervision said that he would rather see a movie origin of Deathshot. There we go. I almost said
I get them mixed up too.
Yeah. Deadshot. So that would be interesting.
Give us what we got like 2 issues ago in Batman. Give us a Deadshot
Battle of the Snipers
Deathstroke movie.
Yeah.
Of them just trying to kill each other in a city for 5 days.
That'd be cool. Really cool movie. I forget who was in it. It came out in like really early 2000s, and it was like a World War II kind of period piece. It was a Allied sniper and a sniper, like a Russian army sniper, I think it was. And they were like fighting each other from across like the ruined city that they were in. I'm drawing a blank on what it was.
Are you talking about a movie?
It was a movie, yeah.
With Jude Law?
Was that? Yeah. What was that called? Yes, that was it. Thank you. That was it. So something like that, but with superheroes, right? That was like not a ton of like action all the way through. Thank you. Lord Tatman said it as well. But imagine like that type of movie with like the tension between them, and there's like a sniper always on you. But with Deathstroke and Deadshot. That'd be cool, right?
That would be cool.
Yeah, like in Gotham, rainy night, sniping at each other.
Well, yeah, I mean that was that issue. What was that issue 29 or 30 of Batman? That's all it was. That was
and they were like ruining buildings and stuff.
Yeah, just like that one killed me. The whole fact that like Batman would just allow that to happen,
Yeah.
He's just gonna sit back and let it go. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But Batman was still kind of young at the time.
Yeah, true. It is a flashback story. That's right.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that when I see the suit, I'm like, yeah, that suit's way better than the current one.
Right, exactly. Like, why aren't they talking about Nth Metal right now? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Flashback.
All right. So next thing we have on our little list here is Hawk and Dove. We're actually cast. So that the whole cast for the show is kind of like shaping up. You have Minka Kelly and Alan Ritchson, right? So I'm trying to think what it was. It was they were the ones teasing about some stuff, but Dawn Granger is Dove, and then you have Hank. No, wait, that's their names. Minka Kelly is Dove, and Alan Ritchson is going to be Hawk, right? Hank Hall.
Oh man, you know what's going to happen with this series or this casting? Because this is going to be a TV show, right? Hawk and Dove.
No, this is going to be for Titans, a live action show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So these are live action. The only one that they don't have right now is like the villain they're casting for too, but they're looking for somebody. Maybe Tebow can play Beast Boy. So there's an open casting call for that. There's an open casting call for the Acolyte, which is one of the villains. He was in Young Justice 9. Kind of a very, very minor character there.
I think he's a wrestler. They could just use him.
The Acolytes? Yeah.
Well, wasn't there the Acolytes and X-Men too? So that they were both DC and Marvel villains.
Yeah, and that's right.
They're just like a group in the X-Men, right?
Yeah,
Weren't the Acolytes like the people that helped Magneto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
they were like
Colossus
believers
was one of those
or something like that, right? Like believers in Magneto.
Well, like
that's
Colossus
right.
joined them at one point.
Yeah, that was like the one of the first arcs for the Jim Lee X-Men. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I think the first appearance was in X-Men #1. I think.
But I'm not sure. No, I want to say no.
Here we go.
I want to say what's his name? Fabian. The one who basically used to enhance Magneto's powers. I think was in New Mutants at one point. But he like that was the whole thing. Like there was one guy who was able to enhance Magneto's powers and make him stronger, and then he ended up trying to Fabian Cortez, that was his name, and Fabian Cortez tried to screw him over at one point or another, and then Magneto basically comes back and kills him, and then starts ruling with an iron fist, and it was like I think around that time like Asteroid M was getting destroyed. And Colossus goes back to save him and turns his back on the X-Men. Yeah, because
you know your history.
He left. Yeah, he left basically because Ileana died. I remember that.
Yeah.
Taking us back.
Yeah.
One of
went
the
off on a tangent there.
I know, right? Sorry about the rabbit trail.
I don't know. That's cool. We were talking about like the Acolytes and stuff, and I guess that sparked something in Deadpoolica there. He said R.I.P. to the Brain.
Bobby the Brain.
Yeah. So that was
that was sad.
Yeah. Had some good matches there. He was fun to watch. Let me tell you, he was.
Oh, as a kid, I hated that man. I hated him when I was a kid. He was, because he was always like the bad guy manager,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But he did a good job. Like you can definitely like appreciate, and especially like you could see. Like there was, an outpour from the wrestling community of, how much they were going to miss him and how much he meant to the industry and what he did, because he was a big creative force for a lot of the stuff behind the scenes,
Yeah.
You don't think about.
Well, the big thing for him, and like, I mean, all you heard with everybody who was talking about it was that, greatest manager ever, greatest of all time, greatest. And the reason why is because he did, I want to say he did a lot more for people that weren't able to, go ahead and like, he made it so that some people who had trouble, vocalizing and verbalizing and being on the microphone didn't have to talk. Like Andre the Giant, he could talk, but it was like, I mean, you had to really listen. It's just like, you know what? You don't have to speak. I'm going to talk for you. This guy's going to beat you, and it was just like, the things he would do to kind of put over talent was like, him basically just being in the room, because people hated him enough that like if you were managed by him, people hated you because you wrestled for him, but then they hated him, and then it just it just kept going back and forth, and they just went ahead and they just kind of basically, it was like just that circle of hatred that would make people a lot of money, and it really just transcended him as in being just one of the better people that you wanted to have on the roster. Like more people wanted to watch him get beat up than wanted to watch the guy he was wrestling, or the guy who's managing get beat. If that makes sense, I guess. But I mean, it definitely came as a shock a little bit. But I mean, he was in declining health for a long time too, though, just because if you look at pictures online of him in the last like couple of years, I think he had like a mouth cancer or something like that, and then it ate him pretty good. Like it ate him down to the bone. Really, it was sad seeing some pictures of him. But I didn't get to weigh in on the what was that one? The Joe Manganiello Deathstroke thing. But I mean, I figure if they're kind of saving him for something better off, like later on, trying to flesh the character out, I say good, just because I feel like I think that they were kind of trying to rush him into a role because right now Deathstroke is a popular character, but we'll see. You never know. But we have a Hellboy appearance. I see that. Let's see. So the crazy part about this too, looking at Daniel Day Kim.
That's the guy from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah. Daniel. So he's gonna be playing Hellboy, and really, honestly, they did a great job with it because I mean, unless that's a picture of the Ron Perlman Hellboy, which I don't think it is. I think it's him in the makeup. It looks really good.
Very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, I thought that Ron Perlman was kind of a bigger guy, or bigger than this guy at least. So, I mean, they did a really good job with this. So I'm excited for it. I think that the hottest part is going to be the voice. If he doesn't have, I mean,
if you watch Stranger Things, he kind of does have like a grumble.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think he'll do fine.
I think that he will do a good job with that. I think I'm curious though. Is this movie going to be rated R? The Hellboy movie? You guys know?
I have no idea.
I have not heard.
I feel like it has the potential to be an R-rated movie, but it just depends on what kind of story they want to tell. I don't know if they're gonna go super dark with it. I mean, the last one, the Golden Army, even though I think it was PG-13, it was pretty dark. I mean, I feel like that tone, if you keep that still tone of darkness in it, I think that works out pretty well. I don't think you have to go like overly dark where it's just like where it becomes like a horror movie. But I think keeping it right in that like middle ground is good.
Well, who here reads Hellboy in the comics? I don't read them.
Yeah.
Is it dark in the comics or what?
It's more occult like, I think, from what because I've read a couple of the trades. It's more like a cult and stuff like that. But I mean,
what does the chat say? Does anybody in the chat read Hellboy? Because I'd be curious to know if it's like a dark comic book or not really.
Deadpool says yes.
Yes.
So
I'm back. What did I miss?
I was just talking about the pitch of the Hellboy and
this one.
Yeah. So that's that's him in the makeup and everything, right?
Looks like Hellboy to me.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely, yeah.
Because I was just commenting that, like, I mean, they did a really good job of like almost putting. I mean, he looks almost exactly the same as how Perlman did. So it's just like it's not a rough transition, being like, oh, okay, this Hellboy's gonna look a little bit like. I mean, that looks awesome.
Yeah, and plus you're gonna have a crap ton of makeup on anyway, so it almost doesn't matter. I think he just needs to be tall because with that big, huge arm, you don't want it to be dragging or nothing like that on the ground.
Well, the thing that's funny is that you look at that movie and it's just like with so much CGI happening all the time, you don't see too many people going like full out makeup like that anymore. And he's got, I mean, that's got to be a crazy process to get ready to be Hellboy. I mean, you got to look at all that different makeup on them, all the prosthetics and everything.
Yeah,
it's probably like you're probably looking at like a 4 to 6 hour process of the transformation from actor to Hellboy.
exactly. I want to see what the movie looks like. The Blood Queen. You know who I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
Well, that's going to be, I guess, his main antagonist for the movie, Mia Jovovich, her character.
Oh, yeah.
She's that movie, Lady of the Lake, the Blood Queen.
So, but are they going to do kind of the same thing and have him have a team, or is this just going to be like a solo Hellboy movie, you think?
I don't know.
You would have to think that they're going to... Yeah, but you'd have to think they're going to reestablish him by doing another origin story because Hellboy #1, what was that, like 2004? And the second one was what, maybe 2000... Golly, was it 2007, 2008?
It was a while after.
That you're talking almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to. I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to do a whole origin story with him again, though. I
Well,
mean,
you don't have to, but you're dude. I think Hellboy has a small following as it is, and you're trying to get new people interested, new readers and whatnot. You would have to have some kind of origin story within that film at least.
I mean, they can, depending on what they want to do, but a lot of times now it seems like the trend with comic book movies is like, look at Spider-Man, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's granted there's been quite a few of them, but they don't have to like do a whole movie focusing solely on the origin.
True.
Like at this point, we kind of accept that, suspension of disbelief or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they're superheroes. They can fly. They can do this and that. So like with Spider-Man, they touched on the whole spider bite thing, moved on, focused on the plot. So something like this, whatever the actually let me screen share something, whatever the plot that they choose to use is fine, and then they can touch on his origin just in passing, whatever it is, or do a couple flashbacks, a little bit of exposition here or there. But I don't think that they need to do a whole movie solely on his origin right now. Right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Yeah. So here's a better shot. Oh shit! What happened?
Oh, yeah, that's a good shot. And even on the original film, I think they only focus like the first 20 minutes on his origin.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, they show him as a baby, and then they show him now. Or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever now is.
That was in what, World War One, when he first found him.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, they showed him as a baby.
But that's all you really need, though. I mean, I think that the origin when it comes to it, like, I mean, you brought up Homecoming. I think you need the origin more of the villain more than you need the hero, just because people kind of have that idea. The villain is someone you introduce and brand new, so it's just like, oh, I mean, you could show how they became evil, or you could just be like, just kind of show why they're doing what they're doing, and that's about it. You know what I mean? Something that makes a little bit more sense.
Why is it doing that? Sorry, I guess
That's a good picture, though. I mean, we get a better angle.
I don't even see anything.
It's not going.
There. Is that? Did it stick?
I can see
All right.
it.
So you get a much better look with this at his hand. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that they did keep the look and the feel of Guillermo's depiction of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the actor, but it was Guillermo who came up with the look and feel of it.
Right.
And also Mike Mignola himself is really kind of hands-on with this project too, so that's really good that the actual creator has a lot of influence in it. Right. So that gives me a lot of faith that this will be, pretty good interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the first two movies, Hellboy and the Golden Army, both movies, they were really good. Like, they were done well.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like, I think the only thing that it suffered from was the fact that, character that not a lot of, not really a mainstream character, but definitely a popular character. So, I think that this, and I think too, having it come out at this point in time is a good idea, just because of the fact that people like comic book movies and stuff. So it may not do humongous numbers, but it's gonna do well. And I think that you'll have an easier time trying to spawn a multi-movie franchise now than you did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to touch on something a little bit later on in the show, another sort of reimagining, but it's going to be in a different medium. So, well, not really medium, but a different platform, let's call it. That's going to be Watchmen. So there's some news about that. But yeah, definitely an interesting time for, it's kind of funny. Like, we're at the point with superhero comic book movies where they've been out for so long now that these are the things that are getting the reboots,
Mm-hmm.
Things that have already been out.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't think they're satisfied with the final product of recent films.
Yeah. And then, the way technology and CGI is advancing so quickly, like, I'm sure that these people go back and they're probably, perfectionists, or, they see things and it's like, what's his name, George Lucas or somebody probably goes back and he did it right. He was like, shit, that's not really what I wanted to do with Star Wars. Let me go back and fuck it all up for 1999. I mean, remake it for 1999. And they keep and they keep going back and wanting to put the newer touches on it and stuff, or like build out from their vision. That's kind of the nature of being a creator, really, right? That your work's kind of never done.
Yeah, because looking at Hellboy, that's a character that you can easily do CGI, kind of like the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad they're sticking with practical effects and
definitely
stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that Hollywood really, as a whole, has really learned. For a while there, the trend was CGI. Like, might as well. Like, we don't need a whole studio. We just need a green screen. We'll just film the whole thing in post production, and But they're really learning that what people like about a lot of movies. A lot of the things that I really love are the '80s movies. Right? There wasn't a whole lot of CGI. It was a lot of practical effects, like you said. That whether they stand the test of time now or not, they're still very nostalgic because of some of those feels that they had, and a lot of that was like the Star Wars, for example, like practical effects. So they went early 2000s, for example, everything was CGI, right? Just throw a computer at the screen. And then J.J. Abrams and people came along, and a lot of the trend now is like really good, healthy mix of CGI and practical effects.
Yeah.
Right. I think you see that with this. I think you see it with the Star Trek movies, Hellboy, obviously.
Well, one movie, actually, I think one of the best movies that really blended the two was, and it was an early on movie to do it, but when you look at it, Jurassic Park, the very first Jurassic Park, did really well with that because they married the CGI and animatronics and the practical effects all at once.
Yeah.
So like the close-up scenes, you had animatronics, but then like that scene at the end where you had the fight between the raptors and the T-Rex, that's completely CGI. But I mean, they did it really well, and they didn't overdo it, and they just had it. They knew what they were doing at that point. So it's just like they realized that vision and made it really good.
I love movies with like bloopers in it, or things that shouldn't have made it. Like with Star Wars, the stormtrooper that bumped his head and stuff. One of the biggest ones is Jurassic Park. So when the T-Rex first comes out, and they have the Jeeps there and it's raining, the T-Rex, there's the big, electric fence, right? And the T-Rex steps through.
Yep.
Like does all the stuff. He eats the guy in the toilet. And then they go back. And all of a sudden, when they go through the wall where the fence was, there's a giant cliff there, right? And they fall down with a big tree. But when that scene first started, it was flat. Yeah. So that was it's a really big blooper. If you ever look up like famous movie bloopers, that's going to be like near the top of the list. Is that scene in Jurassic Park? So there's something fun there. All right, I think we've dwelled on this part long enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the Terminator. Linda Hamilton's returning for the 6th installment of the Terminator franchise. Is that what we have next? No, it's not. Did we talk about Daniel Day Kim?
No, we kind of got hung up on Hellboy, but
okay. Well, that's part of it. Ed Skrein was initially going to be a character. There was a lot of backlash for it. He heard the people, stepped out of the role, said, "You know what? I understand. The cultural importance of representation. So let somebody of Asian descent do it." So Daniel Day Kim is stepping in to be that character for the Hellboy movie. So I think that was like a week or two back on that news.
Oh
yeah. I was jumping way ahead of myself. J.J. Abrams, we're talking about replacing people. Colin Trevorrow, his thing was they mutually parted ways. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kathleen Kennedy and how much of a freaking iron-fisted ruler she is over the whole franchise for Star Wars. But she's the reason why Chris Miller and Phil Lord left. There's been a lot of issues with her and kind of creative control with some of the directors. Like they wanted to kind of really have their input and their influence. And there's only been really a couple people who have come out sort of unscathed from under her wing in the franchise. One of them is Rian Johnson, and then J.J. Abrams. So when Colin Trevorrow stepped away, really meaning they asked him to leave, those were the two options, Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. Rian Johnson said no. J.J. Abrams is on as EP, right? He did Force Awakens, and then he stepped back more into an EP role. But now they're having him come along and do this movie. And he said it was great. He didn't want to at first. That's kind of his thing. Like he did it even with Star Trek, right? He directed, and then he stepped back to that EP sort of role, right? I think, what was his name? Justin Lin, he did it, and he was the EP for that.
Yeah.
But that was that's his MO with movies. He likes to give other directors a voice afterwards in the franchise. But he said that this is a really great opportunity to do a once and now twice in a lifetime opportunity. So he gets to close out the Skywalker saga, right? The original vision there was 3 sets of trilogies, right? So there was the 3, then the prequel,
right,
and then
the
these
9,
3,
the
right?
9,
So episode 9 is supposed to kind of like close out, you know, the whole saga there. And this was before we were getting, you know, before Disney bought them, obviously, but you know, the whole thing was that was going to be it, right? Episode 9 was supposed to be and feel really final. Like that was supposed to be the end of the story, but it's going to be an interesting balance between still having that feeling, because it's important to kind of close out that saga, but we still know that there's going to be at least one movie every year, right? We got all the Han Solo's coming out. We got, I think people were joking, but Jabba the Hutt, you know, Darth Vader, you know, all these people, all these movies, all these anthology movies, all these spin-offs are coming. So it's a kind of funny thing where that finality of episode 9, but yet still knowing that there's like, you know, movies for years on the horizon on the way. So,
well, yeah. And
yeah,
I mean, to me, this just seems like episode 9 will be the conclusion of the Skywalker saga, you know?
Yeah.
A 9-film Skywalker saga. So, yeah, then they can jump anywhere in the timeline they want. They can do anything they want after that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But they'll probably just start it all over again, reboot the whole thing.
Oh God, if they do that, I'm leaving the planet. No, there's some things you shouldn't touch. Don't touch ET. Don't touch, you know, the original Star Wars trilogy. You know,
I'm with you.
If they did, all you guys would buy it and watch it. Come on.
We'd make videos.
That's how George Lucas made his whole fortune. Like, how many times he released his movies? Like 17 times. Like that was that was the biggest problem that, you know, everybody contributed to. Basically, was like people kept saying, "We want another Star Wars. When are we gonna get more Star Wars movies and stuff?" And he'd be like, "Special edition. Where do I pick one up?" And it's just like, I mean, he like literally all he had to do is be like, "I would put out another special edition. Is that what you really want?" Yeah, no problem. We'll take this again. And it's just like he made billions of dollars off the same 3 movies over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fault him for that. And honestly, if I was him too, I would have took my time making those you know, prequel movies and everything else too, because just like, you know what, I don't need to. I made 3 potentially. I mean, as far as like a trilogy is concerned, I made the perfect trilogy that can keep being renewed over and over again, and people will keep buying it because they feel like every time a new medium comes along, they have to have it on that medium. So,
right. I'm guilty of that.
Oh yeah, me too. I still haven't bought it on Blu-ray yet, but I you know, I'm fighting myself about it. But I mean, you know, I what can I say? I mean, I can't lie and say that I'll never have it on Blu-ray. I probably will. And you know what's gonna happen is once
don't buy it now, because you're gonna buy it now, and then episode 9 will come out.
Yep.
And then you're gonna be like, shit. Well, now I need to buy the box set again with that.
Exactly.
Right?
And, you know, the crazy thing is that you know, the only thing that makes me nervous about buying a box set like that is that because I want the original, I at least want the original theatrical cut with you know, the non, you know, Jim Henson crazy, or not even Jim Henson, it's just the non special edition George Lucas bullshit later on. Like, that movie's for children. Like, no, it's not, you jerk. The only people that are buying this are people that are old now, that are showing their children. But like, it was just, I want
movies for children. Yeah, that because children really want to watch, galactic Senate debates and like political intrigue.
Yeah. No, I want to make sure that I get the old Anakin, not that. Anytime it's on television, I look, and I always get disappointed. 'Cause I'm like, all right, Return of the Jedi's over. Here comes the ghost, and his young Anakin just like, you don't belong there. Get out of there.
I tell you what, man, working at a LCS part time, I get surprised occasionally. I mean, we had this young Asian couple come in this week, and dude, they were looking at Star Wars toys. They were like young, I think early 20s. And so I guess Star Wars just keeps adding, younger generations to the fan club.
Their parents are probably into it. I mean, it's not all that long ago that, episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out. So, I mean, that was their trilogy. That's a trilogy that they grew up with.
Yeah. And they just came out with a book. They're partnering with IDW for a children's book. Star Wars Adventures. I think it's on the 2nd or 3rd issue. Mm-hmm. That's obviously geared at a younger demographic, but you're absolutely right. They are, targeting any demographic, really. I mean,
and all those Clone Wars on the cartoon. I mean, my God, how many of those? Like 200 episodes of those?
Yeah, because people want, that's the thing. I mean, you actually, this can lead into something, that's on the list a little later on. But I mean, people have been asking for and wanting for years and years and years a live action Star Wars movie. I mean, when you look at Star Wars and everything like that, I mean that's one of the biggest things that always pops up. When are we getting a live action Star Wars movie? And live action TV show and stuff like that.
Okay, I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Sorry, I messed up. When you get a live action TV show and this and that, and I mean they've been saying over and over again, yeah, it's happening, and then never did. So I mean, the Clone Wars and that that cartoon and everything, and then the Rebels, that's the closest you're ever going to get to it, at least at this point. So,
yeah, just hold that thought for a second. If you're watching this live right now with us or later on, doesn't matter. Point is still the same. If you guys haven't seen, if you like Star Wars at all and you have not seen Star Wars Rebels, stop what you're doing and go watch it. It's a freaking awesome show. It's canon. There's a lot there, a lot of back history, sort of kind of ancillary history. It runs parallel to a lot of the other stories. It bumps up. It's going to be bumping right up to like A New Hope and stuff. We talked about, I think last time with Ghost, the ship and stuff, and some of the tie-ins with Rogue One. Mm-hmm. But awesome show. Really, really cool show. It's up to season 4, which is the final season, but highly recommended. And I'll speak for everybody on the panel. We all recommend it. You guys got to, if you like Star Wars at all, you got to watch Star Wars Rebels. That's bottom line. Okay, continue. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh no, I mean that was all I really had, was just that in itself. But I was gonna say the live action TV show does tie into something a little later on that we'll get to. Something that's been, I mean, literally rumored and over and over and over again, and we'll get to it later. But I'm just I'm excited that it's back in I guess the rumor mill again. But I think there's a little bit more traction this time around, but we'll see. So next on the list, go for that one.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So yeah, watch Rebels. Looking forward to 9. Can't wait for December. All right. So Punisher, couple things there. So there was a press release from Netflix, and there was the original release date we were talking about, and actually we've talked about it a couple times in the past on this show. People were speculating that it would be November. Mm-hmm. Netflix released a press release, and they actually redacted the release date. And basically the thing is that the show is coming soon and suddenly. So it's gonna like show up like a lot sooner than we hope. Hopefully that means sooner than November on your Netflix queue. And it seems like they're not going to announce it. It's just going to show up. So I think that's pretty cool. But this week we actually got the full trailer for it.
Yep.
Set to I don't know if you know the song.
One. Metallica.
Yeah, One. Exactly. A Metallica song. Fit the thing freaking perfectly. It looks like it's going to be hard and fast and intense, right?
Yeah.
It looks really cool. I like it. I like that they're going to touch on his backstory, and they're changing it a little bit, right? Instead of it being
the Pac.
No. Instead of it being Vietnam, right? It's going to be he was in the Middle East, right? He was in, I don't think it was Desert Storm. It would have been like early 2000s or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Afghanistan. Anyways, it looks good. What do you guys think about it?
Oh, it looks awesome. I mean, one of the coolest things I think that they did was they matched up. So in one, there's a pretty like pronounced like drum was like and like guitar and everything, and like so they basically synced up, machine gun fire and then another shot, to it, and it was like it flowed really well. And then they like you said, like they changed a couple of things. Like I think in the Punisher's original origin, he's out at a park with his family, and it's just kind of like mafia guys come and just light up the park and kill his family. I think in this one they actually go to his house and like kill his wife and stuff in front of him. So
yeah, and it's a guy from Daredevil, season 2.
Exactly, and so that's what what's the name I was going to call her Jessica, but she's not Jessica. I call her Jessica because of True Blood. What the hell is her name? Karen Page. That's what Karen Page kind of like discovered on her own when she went to his house and everything. But it does look good. It looks really good, and I want to say that it's going to have a different type tone. I hope. I really do hope that it's got its own tone that stands out with the Punisher. I mean, that hallway fight scene in the jail, did him justice, but I really hope that they stick with stuff like that where it's just like, there's a very specific story you need to tell with the Punisher. You can't really have it be too many, like heartfelt and light moments and stuff like that. Like it's got to be like pretty much gritty the whole way through. There really can't be any compromise with that character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he lost his heart. He's angry. He wants revenge. Like there's no yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so this is for you guys, but also the people in the chat or later in the comments. Rank your live action Punishers, favorite to least favorite. So you have Thomas Jane, you have Ray Stevenson,
Dolph
Lundgren, and Jon Bernthal. You have 4 Punishers that I could think of.
I would have to say, I think that it goes. I mean, even though Bernthal has only done it a little bit, I would say Bernthal, Thomas Jane, Stevens, and then I would have to say, Dolph was an innovator though. Like Dolph,
he had a badass motorcycle, man. He had a cool motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I would say, I think Ray and Dolph are on the same level. Unfortunately, I mean, I think that's around the same time that they made that Nick Fury movie, isn't it? Like the first Punisher movie, and then they made that Nick Fury movie that was really David Hasselhoff was Fury. It was really out of character for him and everything. But I think that Bernthal is number 1, and then Thomas Jane's number 2.
Okay.
And I think that's based on strength of story because for Thomas Jane, they did the Welcome Back Frank story, which was, I mean, that's a slam dunk. You can't mess that up.
How about you guys?
Dolph Lundgren, number 1.
Wow.
Dude, do you have any idea how many times I rented that movie and watched it? 1 billion. Because that was the coolest thing in the world when it came out on VHS. Because it wasn't in theaters. It was a direct-to-video release movie. No, I mean, I have fond memories of that movie just because it was like, we get a Punisher movie? Oh, this is crazy. But so yeah, I really like that one. But I mean, Bernthal's done a great job. Thomas Jane did a great job. I was upset when they didn't bring him back for War Zone or whatever that movie was. So
did you guys see the little short film?
Yes,
that Adi Shankar did. Yeah,
Laundry Day.
Yeah, Laundry Day.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bernthal and Jane would probably be ranked up there, pretty close to 1 for me, and then it would be Lundgren, and then we'll go with Stevenson.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion, guys. I've never really been a Punisher fan, and so therefore I've never watched any of the low-budget, cheesy Punisher films that they made prior to John Bernthal. Okay. But I like John Bernthal. He definitely puts the character in perspective to me in a way that is consistent with what I've seen in the comic books so far.
Okay. That's good. Vernon Johnson said Thomas Jane and then John Bernthal. Comically Flawed says Dolph Lundgren. He knows he's Swedish, but he always thinks of him as Russian. He does play a lot of like Russian mobsters, ex-mobsters, anti-mobster type of people. He does play a terrible Russian gangster on Arrow, though, he says. And then Jack Yo ranked him. He says John Bernthal, Ray Stevenson, Thomas Jane, Dolph Lundgren is his. And actually, that's okay. I'm going to agree with that. I really like John Bernthal. I like his take on it. He's got like the hardness and the anger aspect of him, the vengeance aspect, but also there's a lot of like emotional hurt there that he's really able to pull through with the character, which I like a lot. Ray Stevenson, the movie wasn't good, like, you know, as a traditional movie critic would say. The movie was horrible, but I liked. When I was watching the movie, I literally said to myself, "Oh my god, this movie is freaking violent!" Like there was just so. I don't know if you guys watched Dredd or the Raid Redemption, those types of movies. These movies where it's like an assault on a building, basically, and it's like, so this was kind of right along those lines. Like it kind of took a little bit of time to get to that, but once he went into that building where all these gangsters were amassed,
he destroyed them.
It was freaking amazing. It was awesome. And like, you know, when you think of Punisher and the stories and like, you know, he's just going through and just like mowing everybody down. That's the Punisher to me, you know? So like, I thought Ray Stevenson, he had like a flak vest on, like, you know, like a, you know, it was cool. His portrayal of it was just badass. The movie was bad, but his character was badass. So for me, because of that, I put him as number 2. I really like Thomas Jane. Obviously, that was it was a good movie. There's some videos on YouTube you guys should watch if you're interested at all. But they do like a kill count, and they do them for a lot of movies. But they go through all the Punisher movies, and I think Ray Stevenson's ranks number 1. John Bernthal's up there pretty high too. He's killed a lot of people already, but Thomas Jane is actually. His Punisher has killed the least amount of criminals, but
I was gonna say the Ray Stevenson movie. I mean, it starts out with like a massacre, and then like you said at the
with
end,
the gangster, finale, like in the
the finale, he goes to town and is like, wow. I mean, he puts Charles Bronson to shame, and Charles Bronson, did some thing. I mean, I remember he blew a guy out with a rocket launcher, like point blank range, and like has a stupid line, like, it was just like, ready to take off with a rocket, and like he like blows.
Exactly. It's like so over the top, like it's crazy. There was one scene, like in that scene, where he was going like through like the different rooms and like however he was going to kill the people, but there was like a room full of like this one gang, and you're like, oh shit, he's going to open the door. How's he going to get through that? There's like so many people in there. There's no way he can shoot everybody. But what he did was he had some type of like, let's just call it an M4, and he had an M203 grenade launcher on it. So he shoves it through the door, and he shoots a grenade into the room, and then the grenade is what just takes out everybody. It's like so over the top like that. It was fun. Like, I don't know, Like I don't know why I'm laughing at such violence, but it was.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
I liked it. I don't know. What can I say?
It's just like Lethal Weapon 2. I'll give you a great example. Lethal Weapon 2. The scene where Martin Riggs is tied to the pier or whatever it was, and he's being left to die, and then the girl that he was dating in the movie that worked for the South African consulate gets killed, and they leave him for dead, and then he like freaks out and dislocates his shoulder, gets back into the fight, and then he takes this one guy, he snaps one guy's neck, he beats up another guy, and he takes this other dude, and he just slams his head repeatedly in the car door like 15 times.
I remember that. Yeah.
And he's that's all he's doing is just going slamming the car door on the guy's head. And it's just like my friend Jamie was watching it. He just starts dying laughing. His dad's like, "What are you laughing at? Someone's getting killed on television. That's not funny." But it's like, but the way he just went about it was hilarious. Because like, what else are you gonna do? Like it's just it's so over the top. It's just like this would never happen in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess kind of like with it being so over the top, it's not real. So you can kind of like you're kind of like, at least for me, like like violence sucks. You know what I mean? But when it's so over the top, it's not real. So you can kind of like take that back a little bit and actually let yourself enjoy it versus being appalled by it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on. We're going to move on to something that I said, I jumped ahead earlier, but Linda Hamilton is coming back for Terminator 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
That's so strange.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to know what the storyline.
I'm just looking at him like,
this is going to be like.
She's going to be like I almost feel like the deleted, not deleted, the, I guess, false ending where she's old and she's telling the story about like Terminator died and da. I feel like that actually came true because she's got to be a grandmother at this point. Like John Connor's an old man now.
It's a time travel movie, man. It could be at any point.
So, you know what? That's true. Yeah. I kind of think of it like Harrison Ford coming back for Han Solo. Like many years have passed. He's like this old, like grizzled old man now, but you know what? He's still Han Solo. Or was. Let me correct that.
Linda Hamilton's gonna come back as a grizzled old man and be Sarah Connor. Let me tell you something, kid. Like now that you say that, it makes me wonder if she's actually gonna get killed off in this one, just to for effect.
I don't know. The whole Terminator series, though, I feel like it's a series that we all love the originals on, but it's gone to this point, and the last film, the last couple especially, have messed it up so much for us that this is a franchise that could be rebooted, at this point.
I'm gonna add Aliens to that list of
Aliens,
Covenant had real promise to be good, and honestly, it just they really just didn't know what they were doing with that one. They messed it up really bad.
It was bad. The CGI sucked on it. Like you could tell it was fake. The alien was like there was. I remember watching. There was some movie and the trailer came on for Aliens, and then there was that one scene in the trailer where they had the ship up, and then the spoilers, but the alien was actually on the ship, and it was like smashing its head on the windshield, right for where the pilot was. It was like the big cargo type of thing with the crane on it, and somebody was like said in the theater like, "Calm down, bro," or like something like that, and like half the theater like cracked up laughing. So anytime I think of that movie, I think of that one scene, and I start laughing. But
Alien could definitely use a reboot really badly. I mean, you can even recast Ripley, as someone younger. That wouldn't be a bad one. Terminator, I kind of agree to an extent. So long as you can CGI Arnold as a Terminator, that wouldn't be bad.
But that's true.
And you know what? As a time travel franchise, it's so easy to go back and just easily explain a reset.
We decided on using this body model instead of the Arnold model this time, and so now the Terminators look like this dude, whoever the fuck.
Right. They explained how he got old, like the skin ages on, so they could easily explain how they don't get old. Like they corrected that technology,
Yeah. I mean, the thing that makes it really crazy is just that, you know, the hottest part with him is that he's so iconic as the Terminator that it would be tough to see a different Terminator, you know, as the actual main bad guy. But, you know, I agree, though. You could definitely do a reboot. And
he was only the bad guy in like the first one, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a Salvation. No. What was it? The one with
Yeah, it was
that was a bad one in Salvation, but
that was like right at the end. Yeah.
Was that the female Terminator?
No, that was the third one.
That had the female Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? Or was that 30?
Yeah, but that was Rise of the Machines.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Salvation's the one where they CGI in Arnold at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, let me ask you guys this, because they're continuing, because I'm assuming they want to keep Arnold in it. That's why, right? Because if you reboot, then you do away with Arnold and you just get a whole new. You use The Rock or somebody else like that.
I don't know, because I mean, I you know, if sorry, I keep saying Sarah Connor. That's all she'll ever be to me is Sarah Connor. If Linda Hamilton's back, I mean, I can only, I would wonder if you'd get Arnold back again. You know what I mean? If she's back for it, but I mean, it all depends on what kind of story they're going to tell. I mean,
if you're going to do that, you might as well bring back Edward Furlong too, and have the original John Connor.
Yeah, they'd have to do some plot gymnastics to make that work.
Yeah, because I mean, he's still like that. He's still like all stringy and skinny and stuff. Like he wouldn't be able to be like, you know, the grizzled war veteran that, you know, John Connor really is. Like, hey,
that's true.
You know, like he looks like a heroin addict. Like you can't really.
Yeah.
He'd be like the deserter.
Johnny's had it rough this last couple of years. He you know, found his way into heroin a little bit.
But I think it would be good because you're bringing back the original cast from the most successful of the Terminator of all the franchises. But I'm a fan, so yeah, I'm a fan, so that's just what I want to see. But I don't know, man. I mean, I had no idea that they were doing another Terminator until Jesse just said something. Because last I heard, they had that franchise on hold because of they did not get the numbers that they wanted to in the box office from the last one, and so. I don't know if like they had turned over rights or it was on pause or what, but that was the last thing that I had heard. And from that point, I just had the assumption that, man, there's not going to be another Terminator for a while. And that was only, 2 years ago the last one came out?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they thought they could
Genesis.
Be a good Sarah Connor. That was the problem.
I mean, I didn't think that movie was bad. I liked the take on how.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I liked it. The way they went back and you kind of saw some of the old scenes and I don't know. I thought it was creative the way they did it.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about sort of reboots and new additions to franchises, Alicia Vikander is actually going to be the new Tomb Raider, and they released a full trailer this week for that movie. Looks awesome. I think it was the Nerdist. It's a popular website. Do a lot of like text type of stuff. They did like a shot by shot, side by side thing with the movie. The trailer scenes and the latest game. I have it. I forget. It's Tomb Raider. I don't know if it's just Tomb Raider or Tomb Raider something, but it looks like a lot of the scenes are shot for shot from that game. Like when she jumps from, you know, the ship or the boat over, you know, into the water, when she jumps off the plane wing. A lot of these scenes are like basically shot for shot from the game, but I like her look. I like her as Tomb Raider. Let me just say that. And I don't know. I know there's a lot of issues with Western cinema trying to like translate not only anime and manga, but you know, video game movies as well. So I'm not expecting it to be a fantastic movie, but I like the Tomb Raider franchise. And it's not Angelina Jolie or anything, but I think this will still be a pretty decent movie. So I'm like a lot of these things that have been coming out, I'm cautiously optimistic. That's kind of like my catchphrase these days, but that's what I'm going to apply to this movie. So, did you guys see the trailer, or what did you think of it?
Not yet. I have to watch that.
Okay.
I saw some stills for it, but I mean, I have no issue with this film at all. Like, I think it could be fun. Like, I mean, Tomb Raider is one of those things where it's only natural that they you know, keep making these, put somebody else in the role, and I mean, there's a lot they could do with it. So It could easily be a franchise if you don't already want to call it a franchise.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, you know. I think at this point, even though it's not a comic book movie specifically, it's more of a video game movie than anything else. But you know, if you go back to like Wonder Woman, how everyone's like, you know, strong female lead character, strong female, you know, heroic lead, you know, that would be, you know, the right time to do it, and you know, bring her into that. If it's gonna, yeah, because I was gonna say like that was supposed to be like, I guess, new origin and her just starting out. So you got to see her struggle and develop into the character that, you know, play in the first couple games. Who's just like the seasoned, you know, treasure hunter that, you know, really can go through everything like flawlessly without any problems. So I think that would be a good movie. And if you do, you know, kind of shot for shot take certain pieces and tell a good story with it, you know, you could easily have a really good franchise with that.
You know, the shot for shot type of stuff like tells me they're really trying to stay true to the source, stay true to the game and kind of what we liked about the game. So even though it's not Angelina, it kind of feels different. It is the origin. It did kind of feel a little bit at times like just a generic sort of adventure movie. But then when they started getting into some of these scenes that I recognized, I was like, yes, okay, this is cool. This is going to be good. So, yeah. There was actually, for this game, there was, I haven't finished it. There was a couple, well, not couple. There was one level that I couldn't get past, and I kind of just gave up on it. So, there was one thing where I was trying to run through a cave and like jump over this thing, and I don't know, it was tough. Like the wooden bridge I was on was like collapsing behind me, and I had to like jump, and I couldn't figure out how to like jump far enough, and I kept dying, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna go play something else. So,
done with this thing for now.
Yeah.
Find a walkthrough on YouTube later.
Exactly right. You know what? Actually, I went to start playing Battlefront again. I don't know if you guys ever played that for PS4. There's a part 2 coming out pretty soon.
Yeah,
which I'm really excited for. But I kind of, because of the level I couldn't get past in this, I got back into the Star Wars Battlefront game and was, you know, playing that pretty heavily.
The toughest thing with Battlefront is, you know, dealing with like the hero characters, like you know, the Jedi and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
because it's just tough. But like, I mean, I like it from the battle aspect of being, you know, either you know, Rebel or Empire, you know, different stormtroopers, different, you know, Rebel fighters and stuff like that. And then, you know, using the vehicles and stuff, it's fun.
Yeah, right. When you like, you'll get the big AT-AT and you can like just like.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, yeah. I like playing Luke because you can just like slice through everybody. You're like super overpowered. Like
exactly, just then just run through. And then, like, you know, if someone's close, like, if you're just sitting there, I'll shoot him. And it's like, because he's a Jedi, he's just boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, come on. This is cheap.
Exactly. Well, I think actually with that game that I got really into was the aerial combat. You know, you had the A-Wing, the X-Wing, the TIE fighter. You had a TIE, was it a bomber? TIE bomber?
Yeah, bomber.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. You know, really, that was a really great way for when you were online to learn how to get the ships, because when you got the power-ups, you know, when you were flying like the land speeder and stuff, it's super easy to crash like in 2 seconds. So you have to like get really comfortable with the controls, and that's, you know, playing those like aerial combat levels is a great way to do it. So I hope everything's set up the same way when Battlefield 2 comes out. And the other thing I hope is that there is and I'm pretty sure I read this, but that there's a like a single campaign mode for it. That was like one of my biggest complaints with Battlefield, the PS4 Battlefield. Battlefront, is that there wasn't a campaign mode. So, all right. But let's go ahead and move on to something that I know that a lot of us here on the panel, and I'm sure you guys listening right now are excited for, is that, and again, cautiously optimistic, is Akira. They're revving up that Canada bike again. You know, they're moving forward. Warner Brothers is actually negotiating right now with Taika Waititi to direct, an Akira live action film. This has been started and stopped quite a few times. They've gotten very close plenty of times. There's been scripts written. There's been cast that's been, contracted for the film, and it's just been put on hold quite a few times. So Taika Waititi, if you're not familiar with him, he's the guy who helmed Thor Ragnarok, right? We don't know how the movie is, but if the trailer is any indication, it's going to be freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
So apply that to an Akira film, and I'm going to say, hell yeah, that sounds great to me. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean,
take it away.
The crazy part about it is that, this is, as far as I know, as far as I remember, this is, I think, the 6th attempt to get that movie on screen, and this is what I was alluding to earlier with the live action Star Wars show. It's just like people keep saying it and saying it and saying it, and then nothing ever came of it. So I remember, I want to say, like, one of the rumors was that, like, Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to be attached to Canada, and like how they were going to go about it. This is like, I want to say late 90s. They were just like, they were like, yeah, he's going to be a good, he's going to be in this, and everybody wants to. Everybody's wanted to see a live action of this since the cartoon came out in the 80s, because it was just like that good. I think that if they can get it out there, it'd be really cool. And the thing is too, I think they have to delve a little deeper than what the anime did, which is go into some of the actual manga and pull out some of the extra stuff that you don't get to read about, or that you didn't get to see in the actual movie. But I'm excited for it. If it does end up coming out, I will absolutely be in line to get my ticket, and I will want, just because, the anime, like I said, is one of the great, it's the one that people like to hail as the best anime to ever be, put out there. And overall,
it's a solid anime, man. It still holds up to this day.
Yeah, it's been, what,
20 some years later. I agree with Wolf and Fox. He said it's because Ghost in the Shell happened. So Akira is coming, but I don't think Ghost in the Shell was ridiculously successful.
No,
maybe it was overseas or something.
It wasn't successful, but it's making Hollywood aware that there is such great content and IP and stories to pull from the anime and manga world.
Oh yeah,
it's not that the movie was like.
I can give
financially amazing, you know what I mean? But it just kind of draws their attention more to these things. Like Wolf and Fox also said Cowboy Bebop, One Piece would be great, Ninja Scroll would be great, all these things that they could look to. It's a great new well that they can tap. Let's just say that, right? So the superheroes, everyone's like, oh, superheroes movies are kind of people are, what do they say? Superhero fatigue. So they're looking for the next thing, and the next thing is going to be anime, manga, all this
check this
amazing
out.
stuff. Except Death Note, that was horrible. Let's pretend that didn't happen.
Oof. No, but I can give you one that because he mentioned Ninja Scroll, that was one.
No, I said that.
I can give you 4 that you could make right now. That classic anime movies that would be awesome on film as live action if done right. So you have Vampire Hunter D, which would be incredible.
It was a great comic too.
Oh yeah. Fist of the North Star would be unreal. I would love to see that.
Whoa, they did that.
Yeah, I'm talking about done right. Done right, done now, it would be really good.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That was bad.
And then you also have Princess Mononoke. The Hayao Miyazaki, like Miyazaki made a lot of really good movies. Princess Mononoke is a really, really, really good one. And then you also have, what was the other one I was thinking? Not Ninja Scroll. Rurouni Kenshin. And I think they've done some live action with him over in Japan, but it's just there's a lot of good stuff you can do there. And then, just different offshoots, Gundam, Macross. I mean, there's so much you can tap into, and if it's done right, it's gonna really be awesome. Just the way that they came about it. So I hope to see some of these. Like I really hope to see some of these made into actual movies. Because I mean they could really open up and do some really cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, Chris talks about being done right. I didn't think Ghost in the Shell was too bad. I think it's more of a because you can do a film right. Animes are done right, but I just don't think that too many people, at least here in America, are going to be too interested. I looked up the numbers of Ghost in the Shell. It had a $110 million budget. Worldwide, it made just shy of 170.
Yeah.
So it lost money.
Well, the thing is, though, Ghost. Why did it lose money and why did it suffer so badly? Because they put Scarlett Johansson in the title role, and they try to change a lot of it, and they made it a was a rated PG-13 movie instead of being rated R like it should have been. I mean, they took too many liberties with it, and basically, I think a lot of people felt insulted that you would sit there and call that Ghost in the Shell, which I mean. Some of the stuff visually look great, but it's just like you have to do those things in the proper order. Like you can't, if you have something that is for a PG-13 audience and you can put it out there, great, do it. But if you have something that's clearly for an R-rated audience, like a Vampire Hunter D, you need to make it for an R-rated audience. You need to make Fist of the North Star for an R-rated audience. It doesn't work if you tone it down. And I think that's what they. I think that's what they. That's where the mistake came from, where it was just they decided that we'll make this way, and maybe we'll be able to go ahead and sell some toys with it or whatever else. And it's just like you have to do those films right, because if you don't do them justice, you really only get one shot with those. Like you're not gonna do a shitty Akira movie and then be like, oh, in 5 years we'll just reboot it and it'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, I think you'll lose that market really quickly if you mess things up. So shoot them as they're intended, and then just bring them to life. That's all
exactly. Yeah, it would make people kind of gun shy after a while, right? Exactly. Kind of like the cry wolf syndrome. Yeah. But like you said, I mean, look, Ghost in the Shell was a beautiful movie. It really was, and a lot of those scenes were shot for shot. Like, one thing I remember in particular was the scene where she, towards the beginning, I guess it was, where she was chasing the guy, and they were like fighting in the water, right? They went through the alley. There was like the scenes with like the water, and then you look up and there's the ship, and then they end up, with the cloaking and everything. That was shot for shot, But one thing that they miss is the Death Note did it. Some of these others, Ghost in the Shell is guilty of it. Is really not understanding the core of what made it great. Like there's a lot of like depth, like psychologically, philosophically, that they ignore. They really water it down for the Western audience. And people are turned off by that. Like people who really like these really like those questions that those things ask. Like, what is it like? What does it mean to be human? Where's that line? Like when you start replacing your parts, like where is that line between being human and you're no longer human and you're a machine, right? Where's that man-machine interface, right? Same with Death Note. When you lose your soul. Right. Same with Death Note. Like what are those morality guidelines? Like what does that really look like for you? And kind of like forcing you to reflect upon that on yourself. And these movies, maybe they touch on it briefly or they ask it really briefly, but they don't address it in the way and in the depth that the anime or the manga does. And one of the issues there, like especially with Death Note, maybe they could have, but taking this whole huge serialized show over like many seasons or whatever you want to call it, many books, and shrinking it down to an hour and a half is not giving it the justice it needs. I think it would have been much better served as a series. Like maybe with Akira. Actually, with Akira, they've been talking about doing 2 movies that do like 3 books for each movie, right? So that might be better. You can kind of expand a little bit there, add a little bit more and it doesn't have to be so condensed and so watered down as Death Note was. God, I keep saying that, but shit, I did not like that movie.
But I agree with you. Like, this is, it would be like if you made it would be kind of like if you made Ninja Scroll and you cut out some of the fights that were there. Fist of the North Star is another one. Fist of the North Star, it would be great to be a movie, but it would have to be a franchise. You can't do it all in one movie. It's too much. Because there's too many people he has to, fight in between, and then you have to establish too many other characters too. If you did it in like 2 parts, Fist of the North Star 1 and 2, then you could get to the point where, okay, he basically Ken gets to reach, I guess he meets Ray. They go ahead and they fight their way up to the palace, and then Ken has this fight with Shin, and then you start out part 2 fights with Shin, then fights Rao, and then you go from there. Like, that at least makes sense. But trying to get it all done in one shot, it's not really the best way, unless it's something that can be condensed into that one thing. That's why translating. If you translate a movie that wasn't a manga into an anime that wasn't a manga into a live action, that should be a slam dunk. That should be no issue.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So actually, let's transition here a little bit. With Watchmen, great series, right? Classic, Alan Moore stuff. We could talk about what you thought of the movie, but HBO has moved forward finally with a pilot order for a series. It's Damon Lindelof is doing it. He did Lost. He was on that project. He did Leftovers, things like that. So HBO is really looking for something to replace Game of Thrones when that comes about. The ending, that is, because we got one more season left. So this would come out after The Leftovers, which is his next thing he's working on, or the current thing, I guess. But a Watchmen series. What do you guys think of that? And same thing where kind of looking at a story, these characters that there was multiple issues with it. I don't remember how many there were.
12.
Okay, thank you. And then there was before Watchmen and stuff. But is this better served? Because we obviously had the Zack Snyder movie, and a lot of that, again, like same thing, like same with Ghost in the Shell. It was beautiful, and a lot of it was like shot for shot. It was very like artistically done, but it just kind of felt like just like the same thing, but not quite as important, I guess I'm trying to say. But I don't know. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say, but I think as a series, it's going to allow for a lot more of the questions that the Watchmen answered. And maybe we'll get the pirate, things like that, like the whole like comic within a comic type of thing.
Yeah, you could do that. I think it's absolutely better served as a series.
Yeah.
You can build up relationships more. The only thing that you have to wonder is just that how many seasons, like, can they guarantee, multiple seasons? Like, let's say you do it over 4 seasons, which is a lot, but like 10 episodes, 4 seasons to tell the story, and include some of the extra stuff. That wouldn't be so bad. Even if you did 3 seasons, it wouldn't be so bad. That's the only downfall I see, is if they don't give it enough seasons to progress, and you have to kind of just condense and shorten and put things into just smaller boxes.
I guess that would be my question: is are we just going to get the Watchmen story played out over a season, or are we or is like season 1 going to be stuff that happened before they disbanded? So like a couple years prior to everything going to crap. That would be kind of what I would want to know. I don't know if I want to just rewatch the same story done over a longer period of time. I would want more,
Well, I think those you'll see is like, little flashbacks and stuff like that. Like they'll give you, little bits and pieces here and there, like, show you like, the Minutemen, show you, maybe some of, Rorschach and Night Owl, fighting crime together and stuff like that. Like, I think they could kind of like, if you go back and watch like, The Wire and stuff like that, or kind of like Oz, where they show you like little bits and pieces you know, the different inmates past as they led up to, you know, the crime that they committed and stuff like that. I mean, HBO is you know, known notoriously for doing really well with shows. So I mean, I think that because of what it is and the fact that, like you said, that they need something to replace Game of Thrones for, you know, once that ends, they'll do this justice. I think that there's, you know, so long as they give them the time that they need, you know, give them, you know, at least 3 seasons, they'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about kind of reimagining things, reboots, relaunches, what have you. Caitlin Kittredge is along with Roberta Ingranata rebooting Witchblade. That was one of the really long running series through Image. It ended with issue 185. Then they came out with a series called Switch, which was pretty cool. But I loved Witchblade, you know, especially when it first came out, you know, the Michael Turner stuff, and beautiful, beautiful book. It's interesting that they're rebooting it now. But this is the actual the first issue cover for it. So it should be interesting. What do you guys think of that? It's actually available for pre-order. It'll be on your shelves in your LCS on December 6th. So
Sarah Pazzini is back, and she's very blonde.
She's coming back. No, it's a different one. It's a different lady as Witchblade. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, this is after that. So this is just volume 2. Somebody else has the Witchblade. Yeah.
Her name is Alex.
Yeah.
That's cool then. I mean, yeah, you know, see someone new take up the mantle of Witchblade, and you know, that's not bad. I mean, she has kind of like a Bloody Mary vibe in that little mirror behind her. But you know, that I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, it's been a long enough time that, you know, you could revamp the series and have somebody new do it. I think giving it a different character, someone outside of Sarah Pazzini, you know, kind of helps you ease away from Michael Turner and stuff that he was, you know, doing and things like that. So I think that helps, you know, having a new character and everything like that. Could be pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Caitlin, she's done a bunch of novels. She did also some comics like Black and the Throwaways. You guys know Throwaways through Image, right? And then Roberta Ingranata has actually done a lot of work with Van Helsing and Robin Hood through Zenoscope. So that maybe gives you a bit of an idea of what to expect stylistically from the series.
I mean, I'll definitely pick it up and try it out. I mean, I try most things that come out of Top Cow Image imprint. So, and like I said, it was a book like you. I really enjoyed it when it originally came out. So I'll be interested to see where they go with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, you know, it's not going to go on my pull right away, but, you know, issue 1, issue 2, definitely going to pick it up and check it out.
Right.
So, all right, cool. So we're going to do some book reviews next. Normally, because we kind of switched over to Thursdays, you know, we were telling you guys how you were going to do like a, you know, pick a book, review it. But we didn't talk about that this week. So I don't know if you guys picked up something, you know, this week that you particularly want to like shout out, you know, if you want to do a quick, like, you know, quick review of it, you know, if people should pick it up or not, but feel free to, it doesn't all have to be the same book, but feel free to.
I call Rome because I read that and I picked it up.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Rome was really good. I actually enjoyed it. I think that it's pretty cool story, set post-apocalyptic world, not too far off from this world, and it's just kind of like a mix of like magic and kind of just I guess I would say a little bit of magic mixed in with Mad Max Thunderdome type environment and everything.
See, I would have said The Walking Dead combined with Dungeons and Dragons.
No, you know. We all have a. You know,
are you talking about Realm?
Realm. Okay. Yes. Realm was good. You know, I picked it up. I had fun reading it. Like the main character, he's pretty cool. You know, I'm curious to see what goes on next. The villain in the story, the main villain at least, where it seems, the guy himself seems like he's a vessel for higher power. So I'm curious what that is. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a, what can I say? Reminds me of something like how, if you read the Ultimate Universe, how Apocalypse and Mrs. Sinister had their dynamic where Sinister was kind of the vessel and then Apocalypse was the big villain behind the scenes. So pretty cool stuff. Definitely worth picking up if you can find it, I guess, because it was really popular this week. It's Image #1, of course. So everyone's like, oh, Image #1, gotta get it. So definitely check it out. Fun book. That's pretty much my review on it. Just I liked it. Go get it.
Sweet.
Right on.
I did not get it. I'm gonna have to go get it.
Go get it.
They always make me go back to the shop. Everybody, they make me go. It's horrible.
You just gotta buy everything, man. You don't cut your pull list back so much, you're missing out.
I wouldn't normally go, but yeah. I read Wonder Woman Conan. Dun dun.
Unlikely pairing.
Huh?
So that seems like an unlikely pairing, those two.
Well, here's the thing. Somehow Wonder Woman is in Conan's time frame. We don't know what's going on. Huh?
She's in Samaria?
Yeah, or wherever he's traveling. I don't think they actually name where he's at the moment.
But that's where he lives, is Samaria.
Yeah, right.
In Chicago.
He's right. He's traveling around. Yeah. It was really good. I didn't realize that it was a miniseries, which I'm fine with. But because it's a miniseries, we're just getting all set up in the first issue. All we know is that Conan sees Wonder Woman in this gladiatorial ring fighting, and it's pretty evident that Wonder Woman has amnesia. So there we go. That's pretty much all we get in the first issue. But we get some good random action, some heads get chopped off and things like that. So I'll stick with it for a couple more issues and see where the story goes.
Sounds pretty good. I think Comically Fod and I are on the same wavelength. He said Conan and Wonder Woman, Red Sonja, love triangle.
Yep. Oh, that would be all. I mean, and Gail Simone is writing this.
Okay.
So she's done
That's good stuff.
Wonder Woman before. She's written Red Sonja. So I mean, the story's good, but like I said, it is a first issue, so not a ton happens. We get little hints at what's going on. But like I said, overall, it's worth picking up, I would say, if you like that type of stuff.
All right, Mr. Strictly.
Mr. Strictly. I haven't really read anything new this week, but I did read Action Comics from last week, which I guess is kind of new since we didn't have a show last week. But I don't know, man. Did you guys get the vibe that Action Comics the artwork was very similar to like Greg Capullo's style of artwork? Did you guys notice that?
On what?
Action Comics with Mr. Oz?
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet.
Didn't it look a lot like Greg Capullo?
You mean Jor-El?
Yeah, we doing spoilers?
Oh, 97?
Yeah, that was like, that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
That felt like 4 years ago.
Well, a week ago yesterday, but yeah. Anyways, that's what I read. I mean, I haven't had a chance yet to read anything new this week, but I was able to read that, and it was just really, really good. And I love the way they went about it at the beginning. Just to me, I don't have a whole lot of complaints with that book because it's a well-rounded comic book. It really is superhero comic book. I'll just say that. Very, very good artwork, very good storytelling. I didn't really know anything about Mr. Oz, and of course, I like the cliffhanger that they left you at the very end of the book. Good stuff.
Nice. All right, so mine that I'm going to actually tell you guys about. So for the first issue, I was a little feeling like the writer was a little bit over his head. It was a lot of exposition. It was a lot of setup. It was a lot of telling us what was going to happen without actually, I felt like, things happening. But now that the story's progressed a little bit and things are actually happening, this is amazing. Let me tell you. So we have
even the tie-ins. You getting the tie-ins?
Yeah, so
too?
I'll tell you, I've got Dark Knight's Metal #2. I know this didn't come out this week, but I picked it up this week. So Dark Knight's Metal #2. Teen Titans 12, which is here. This is the cover A.
Yep.
And we have Batman: The Red Death right here. So this is the main story, of course, with Batman and everything. This ties in. The reason I picked this up was the Batman Who Laughs. There was some question about with the Batman Who Laughs. Like I love picking up the first appearances with the Batman characters, heroes, villains, doesn't matter. They're cool. About which of these two issues was the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs. A lot of people are saying right now it's this cover A, but Scott Snyder actually said, no, it's this. You got to read this first. And actually, the first page in here says, stop right now. Read Metal 1 and 2 before you read this. This kind of like a thing where at the end where he comes out and everything. Really creepy. Like the character is like a Cenobite from Hellblazer. If you guys are familiar with that.
Hellraiser.
Yeah. And he's got these like 4 Robins that are on chains that are with him. And they're like wrapped in barbed wire. They're like ragged and like really like evil and feral and creepy looking. And all they say is crow. Just keep going, crow, crow, crow. And it's like, why are they saying that? There was a panel. I think it was in this when he first came out. The next panel, the Batman Who Laughs said bar. So you put those two together, it's crowbar.
Yep.
What happened with the crowbar?
Jason, right?
Exactly right. So what's really cool about this story is a lot of these like evil like Justice League Batman characters are like manifestations of like Batman's like worst fears, like his like deepest, darkest, like horrific fears. And I said it earlier, and I've said it in the past, but I really like the psychological aspect of the characters. It's one thing I really like about like Tom King's Batman is that he gets like really into Batman's mind and like the psychology of Batman and stuff. So I feel like Scott Snyder is doing something. Granted, it's like more action oriented, but at the same time, he's touching on like Batman's psyche, and I really like that. And this Batman Who Laughs is like a freaking like this character is probably one of like the most evil, scariest characters that you've seen in a while with Batman. Like this character is pretty. I don't know if you can see it right here.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have seen it, of course, but
yeah.
There you go, up in the corner. But this character is freaking evil, We'll
have to wait till the slabs start coming out to see if one's a cameo and one's a first appearance. Yeah,
you know what? I figured like this cover disappeared really fast. Like, doesn't matter what shop you go to, it's gone. So I figured just pick up both and be safe, right?
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah, this, and if you look on eBay, this is going for, I don't know. You could probably double your money. It's a $3.99. This Teen Titans is a monthly book, so it's $3.99. And I was gonna wait. Oh, actually, I still can. No, I can't. This is the cover A, right?
Yeah, you got cover A. I got cover B. That's 12.
Yeah, I got cover A.
I got cover B.
Yeah. So
that's it. I'm going to look.
You know what? It's okay if your LCS doesn't. What you can do, and it will be actually $4.99. But what you can do is go to Barnes and Noble in about a week, half a week.
Oh yeah.
And get a newsstand version.
Nice.
Which is a very sellable, line item there on eBay. Newsstand. You know what I mean?
That's why we pay you the big bucks, Jesse.
Yeah. So you can get Teen Titans issue 12, cover A, newsstand for $4.99 in about sometime next week. I don't know when they'll get their shipment, but check your Barnes and Nobles. So, but I like what they're doing with this story. Like I was telling one of my friends, Matt. He's one of the managers at one of the LCSs I go to. We're kind of like diving really deep into the story. And what we like about it. and we were talking about, with DC and the multiverse and stuff, and instead of like saying, oh, it's too complicated, we're gonna kind of step back from that and simplify things, and do a Secret Wars and make things simpler, which it didn't. Where they celebrate that, they celebrate their multiversity, and they say not only are we going to like celebrate all these multiverses, but we're going to expand upon that, and we're going to make it crazy and like freaking awesome, and have not only the multiverse or the speedverse, but you're going to have to flip it over, and there's a whole other universe there. So it's really cool that they're kind of like pushing these boundaries there and making it done in a way that it makes sense. Like, it's cool.
I'm gonna say, like, I haven't read really any of this, but I've seen so much hype around this guy, the Batman Who Laughs and everything.
Yeah.
That I think that
you get to see all of them at the end of that metal too. It's so cool.
Yeah,
they think do like the full spread with everybody.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's cool.
I think that what's gonna happen is that out of all the characters, as far as like this is concerned, he's gonna be the one that you see enter that actual main regular universe at some point. Like Batman Who Laughs will be a regular character, not regular, but he'll enter the regular DC universe at some point as somebody that probably Bruce Wayne, Batman, Bat Family, somebody is gonna have to take on at some point. Like I think they have bigger plans for him. I think right now it's just the shock value of the whole Jason Todd thing and just the way he looks and everything like that. So this is going to be his introduction. Even if they fight him, he loses, whatever. This is his introduction. This is his opening act. You're going to see that character again somewhere down the line. I just get the feeling because he's everybody's so up on that one Batman because of just how mysterious and creepy he is.
We'll probably see him every year around Halloween.
Something like that.
It's a perfect Halloween character.
Yeah, right.
Like, you always think of like the Joker. He's like, this like evil character. He's like, Batman's arch enemy. But this guy, like, let me tell you, he's like so much more like nefarious and dark and evil and like horrific.
We have a good Halloween.
Joker has ever been. Like, this guy is just over the top creepy, Yep. So anyways, my whole point there is I have liked the story now that we've gotten past like the whole setup stuff with the issue 1. So if you had any kind of like hang-ups with the first issue of Metal, definitely give the second issue a chance because the story has moved a lot further along, and they're getting more into the action and more into like the dynamics and everything of what's happening. So the story is a lot more energetic, I guess, even with the tie-ins. So I recommend it.
So does that mean Frost jumped the gun?
I think so. Like I understand what he was saying with the first issue. Like I said before, it was like the setup and like even I was like, okay, Scott Snyder, get to the point already. Like you're telling us what's gonna happen. You're like promising all this stuff, and it's just nothing's happening, right? You just keep saying this is what's going to happen, but nothing's happening. But now a lot of stuff is actually happening. So like with this, like the Red Death, what they're doing, wait, where is it? Above and Beyond it being a really cool cover. I mean, I think all of us are 90s kids.
Yep.
Like we grew up, 80s kids, but we grew up like collecting in the 90s maybe. It's shiny. But you get to really kind of like explore who each of these like evil Justice League Batman are and like why they are who they are.
Yeah.
And like this was really cool because like a lot of times it's easy to just say, oh, this is the villain. They look cool. They look badass. They're evil, but they're kind of two-dimensional, right? Like you don't really know. They're just evil. They're just there as like a plot device. But these one-shots are kind of like exploring who the characters are and why they are, like what their motivation is. Like why are they like so evil? Why are they part of this team? Why are they like so adamant about invading this earth or invading Gotham or invading Star City or whatever it is.
I think that in that one
these are like with Marvel, the tie-ins are not important. You can completely skip them, right? Like the Secret Empire. If you really want to read Secret Empire, all you need to do is read the main Secret Empire thing. You don't need to read all the ancillary stuff. But I would say with Metal, definitely read the tie-in stuff because it is important and it is actually like it's good. There's substance to it. It actually adds to the story versus just being like a throwaway thing, like a side piece. So yeah. So I would say read Metal 2, and I would say go ahead and pick up this if you're at all interested in kind of like darker, evil type of metal.
I did kind of like flip through that, and it seems as though Red Death Batman, it seems like he gets a little bit corrupted. It doesn't seem like I don't think his intention was to be evil initially, and then it was just like, oh, wait a minute. And then you see that he gets basically another character starts in on him and then corrupts it, and then he kind of just moves into that realm of evil. So
right.
I don't know, for me right now I mean I know that this is the big DC event. I haven't picked up anything for it. I'm not sure if I want to initially, just because of the fact that I have so much everything else that I collect right now. So I may wait for it to come out and trade, but
that's fine.
But then again, I may regret that decision just because of the fact is I have a feeling that there's going to be so much that comes out that it may get spoiled for me. It may not, but I think I'm going to stay strong on that one and just wait until the trade comes out and then pick it all up at once rather than, kind of trying to work this into the rest of my poll and everything.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. I mean, whether you read it, in the floppies or, in trade later.
Yeah.
It's a good story. I'm going to say it's a good story. All right, guys. So it's getting kind of late here. So let's go ahead and give some final shout outs, final thoughts, plugs if you want. But, we're getting close to 11 right now. So let's go ahead and do that final piece there. Let's start with you, Chris.
Did you get the Red Death button?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't expect it.
I didn't either. I didn't even know about it.
And he was like, I'm like, what are you looking at? Then you reach under the counter. And he's like, you know what? You're getting Red Death. Here you go. So,
well, I just want to shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being with us. Pretty much just everybody have yourself a great week. Being that we're heading towards another week already because we do this on Thursday. There's a lot of things that book wise that we miss out on being able to discuss ahead of time. So hopefully everybody got the books that they wanted. Hopefully if you didn't, we gave you a good enough review of some of the books that came out this week that you should be checking out, or at least we think you should be checking out. So go ahead and do that. Hey, and also hopefully all you got a back issue. I don't want to handle excuses.
Buy a back
just
issue.
one, that's all you need. But again, thank you guys for showing up and making this fun. It's just really fun way to spend a Thursday night talking about comics, talking with you guys. So thank you again, and have a great weekend.
Ooh, all right, man. Glad you're here. All right, let's go over to Mr. What am I gonna say, Mr. Who? Mr. Exile.
Mr. Who?
Oh. Yeah, same thing like Chris said. Just thanks everybody for showing up. Especially sorry, we had our little hiatus last week with everything going on, but we got back in here and had a ton to talk about. So thanks everybody for sticking around with us for this long edition of the show. But yeah, the chat, everybody that showed up looked like they were having a good time in there. So awesome times.
Cool. All right. And you get Sunday morning comics coming up?
Oh yeah. Check us out Sunday morning, 10 o'clock.
Sunday morning comics. Yeah.
Right.
Good time.
Good way to start your Sunday.
All right. Edwin.
I don't have much to say. Just thanks, guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat, man. It was banging at the beginning. I know we kind of went in. We got long-winded, but thanks everybody who did stick around, and looking forward to getting back on schedule here. That's it. Got my back issue. Got a what if. What if? Oh, yeah. Well, auction. 7th Affordable Auction. Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Strictly Comics. Come check it out. We're going to have some books that we're going to be slanging.
Ba-bam. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, we did kind of run a little bit long tonight. We did have a lot to kind of go over and catch up and a lot of things that we really wanted to touch on. So I'm glad we did. And we appreciate you guys sticking with us through it all. So thank you for that. I'm going to do a review. We touched on metal, but I do want to talk about in a separate video, Dark Arc, which is a Aftershock title, a new title that came out this week. Looks really cool. I haven't read it yet, so that's why I didn't want to talk about it tonight. But yeah, that's going to be coming up on my channel pretty soon. Also, comicbooks.com. A lot of new articles going up all the time. A lot of great stuff. And also, Saturday is Batman. Well, Harley Quinn takeover of Batman Day. So if you guys don't have any plans for Saturday or you're looking for something to do, hit up your LCS. They've probably got some good deals going on. There's 3 free books for the day. A lot of cool stuff out there, sales, deals, and all that good stuff. So check it out. Batman Day is September 23rd. Support your LCS. That's all I got to say about that. But that's it, guys. This is episode 57. We got a lot there in the comments, all the topics, and we'll be back next Thursday for episode 58. There we go. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Comics are good.